All right, it says that we are live. Let's hang tight and get that confirmation from the live chats. Live chat, can you hear me? Am I coming through just fine? Let's also get a mic check from the rest of you fuckers. Let's go. Mic check, everyone.
Does anyone else have a Pink Floyd flashback?
What about you, Big Mike?
I am alive.
Okay, Astronomy Live.
I am also here and alive.
Perfect. I'm happy to hear it, because you do realize, Astronomy Live, I do get literally everything you own if you were to unfortunately kick the bucket. So don't do that. You will be missed, but I will get your shit.
It's cute that you think that.
It's cute that you think that anything will be able to fucking stop me. Anyway, welcome everyone to this, whatever the fuck this is. Yeah, it's been a while. If I remember correctly, it's been about 6 months since we had one of these streams, and a lot has happened. And I understand that I owe you guys, some updates in regards to future projects and what I'm going to be doing with the channel, as well as the drastic slowdown in rocket launch videos. I apologize. We are correcting that in this stream. But I'm going to go over everything and, basically give y'all an update. And to help me with that, I have a few people here. Number one, Astronomy Live. Sir, good to have you here.
Oh, good to be here. Good to be here. I'm very happy to be here.
And you're also going to be attempting a repeat, I hope, of your Starship capture.
Oh yeah. I'm looking forward to that. Everything's booked. Everything's ready. I've got to do some testing tomorrow with all the equipment, but should all be ready. And I'll be, if everything is successful, I'll be live streaming to Everyday Astronauts stream. So tune in for that.
Excellent. Very happy to hear that. And next we have Jared, AT2 Productions. How's it going, good sir?
Guten Abend, everyone. This is Otto von Bismarck. We're going to have some fun tonight.
Oh, are we? Are we?
Hey, you just said have fun with it.
I did say that, so kind of fucked myself with that one. And we have Big Mike. How's it going, Big Mike?
Yeah, it's all right. Just another night.
Another night. Well, that's good. So anyway, now that we've gotten introductions out the way, let's go ahead and get right on into it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give a shout out to a particular individual who a few months ago made a video involving my work regarding the International Space Station. If you remember, back in 2020, Astronomy Live and we went out to the Countryside Mall in Florida to measure the altitude, size, and speed of the International Space Station, and we did an amazing job on that, and it has generated Flat Earth butthurt from that point going forward, which is exactly what we want to do. The individual that made a video referencing our work was a person by name of the Triggered Limey. And he did a really good job on his video. I actually shared his video on my community tab. So if you want to see that, go to my community tab and click on it, and you'll see the video that I am referencing. But I heard through DMs on Twitter that unfortunately the Triggered Limey has passed away. So I wanted to start off this stream by giving my condolences to his family and friends. I did not work with Triggered Limey much at all, and I see that as a missed opportunity because he looked like an awesome dude. And so to the friends and family of the Triggered Limey, I do want to say my condolences. And yeah, he seemed like a really, really cool dude. So it sucks because, like I said, if I had the opportunity to work with them in the past, and I probably should have taken it now that I look back on it. But, you don't know what you're missing until it's gone. So Triggered Limey, rest in peace, and my condolences to his family and friends and all of his fans that watched his videos. What we're going to do from there is we're going to talk about the rocket launch videos and what's happening with that. So as you all are probably well aware, I have not been posting that many rocket launch videos on my channel. And there is a reason for that. And I'm not going to get into too many details here, but long story short, I am no longer in Florida. And I haven't been in Florida for a good long while. The reason why I'm not in Florida is because there are opportunities that I could not pass up, and I'm glad I took them on. But that does mean that I am no longer in Florida to film these rocket launches. But if you also remember, I got a lot of equipment to do just that, to film these rocket launches, to post these videos on YouTube for you all to enjoy, as well as to generate copious amounts of flat Earth butt hurt. And I still want that to be a thing going forward. And this is where Big Mike comes in. Big Mike is located in Florida. And what I have done is I've made a deal with him. And Big Mike is going to be acquiring all of my rocket launch tracking equipment, which means he's going to get the Celestron 6/8 SE mount. He's going to get the Nikon P1000. He's going to get the custom-made bracket that works, that ties the whole thing together. He's going to get the joysticks that allow him to remote control the mount to track these rocket launches. And he's also going to be working with Astronomy Live to learn all the skills necessary to track these things so that he can continue on doing what I was doing before. So Big Mike is going to be the owner of this kit. However, whenever I am in Florida, and I do plan to go back to Florida for the major launches like Falcon Heavy, Starship, Artemis, stuff like that, for all the good rocket launches, I get dibs on that shit. I get dibs. Big Mike and I have spoken about this. We are in agreement. And Big Mike, just so that you can tell the individuals watching, we did have this discussion. You can confirm all this, right?
Yeah, we've had several discussions, ironing out these details, and everything you've asked has honestly been pretty much on the extremely easy side for this deal, put it that way.
Now, the deal that we are talking about here is Big Mike is going to have the rights to the footage that he himself captures, obviously. However, being that it's being shot with my equipment, I get dibs on that footage as well, and I can use it in any way that I want. And whenever I'm in Florida, I get dibs on that equipment, so I can track my own rocket launch videos. And so this seems like a pretty good deal, being that whenever I'm not in Florida, you guys are still going to get the footage that you all, supported me, with the equipment to get. And I still get the opportunity to film it whenever I am back in Florida. And so I want to thank Big Mike for taking on this responsibility. And he has assured me that whenever it is feasible, he will be there to film as many rocket launches as he can so that we can continue to generate copious amounts of flat Earth butt hurt. And Big Mike will also be, like I said, practicing with Astronomy Live to learn the system that Astronomy Live has created and how to set up everything to get the best shot possible, because there are a few, quirks to the system that you need to be aware of. And Big Mike is going to be learning every single one of them to make sure that we can still film rocket launches for you guys and at a consistent pace, because obviously it fell off a cliff when I left Florida. I still have the stuff, so I'll be driving back to Florida relatively soon and giving that equipment to Big Mike so that Big Mike can continue on from there. Big Mike, if there's anything else that you would like to say in regards to that, and tell other people what you will be doing with that equipment or what your goals are, what you would like to capture, by all means, go right ahead.
Honestly, yeah, you pretty much hit it on the head. It's going to definitely be somewhat slow to get fully ramped up to where you were, like you said, learning it, definitely not going to be the quality first day, but definitely going to be trying to, get out there for more generic Falcon 9 launches, Starlink and the like, just to get that experience. Granted, it's a catch-22. I want to head out there as much as possible, but at the same time, as we're entering into closer to the summer, the weather's going to be a lot more unpredictable, but still going to try to make that effort, try to get out there when the weather does cooperate. It's just, especially nowadays, as we get closer and closer to June, it's going to be a lot more unpredictable, as you would know.
One of the things that you're also going to have to get used to is boost back launches. That's something that you will have to practice with Astronomy Live on. And what we do is Astronomy Live has another mount that replays the launch, but does it with a laser pointed at the wall. And because of the how would you say it, Astronomy Live? Because of the geometry of your walls and ceilings, it adds a bit of complexity. So you do have to actively, take control of the scope to make sure that the laser remains in the frame. It's really, really good practice.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely adds a level of challenge especially once you get off the wall and onto the sloping ceiling. So I got a vaulted ceiling, which is good because you want it. Ideally, like the best way to do this would be in a planetarium dome, but I don't have a planetarium dome, so the wall and ceiling will have to suffice. But as the ceiling starts sloping up towards you, the range of the laser is essentially decreasing, and so the parallax of the laser is increasing, and that changes the apparent position of the laser relative to the second telescope that you're using to try to chase the laser. And it adds complexity because it's the second telescope, although it's playing the same trajectory, you actually have to deviate from that trajectory to keep it in frame because the laser is actually shining on a ceiling and it's not at effectively infinite distance miles away.
Yeah, and make no mistake, guys, I don't want to surrender my Nikon P1000 because that P1000 has some history behind it. So, Big Mike, I'm going to tell you this right here, right now, in front of the audience. Please be gentle with my shit because that P1000 has some history behind it. Do you know how much butt hurt that single camera has generated for the internet?
I mean, I know from just the one instance I was working with it, for USF 67, that still leaves a ton of butthurt even to today. I constantly go back to that footage between you and Astronomy Live. So yeah, I can imagine.
We can fill multiple starships with the amount of liquefied cryogenic butthurt from flat earthers. There is so much butthurt embedded within the history of that camera. So you're going to get something, but you're not just getting a camera. You're getting an icon. You're getting a piece of history. This is like you holding on to fucking like it's a lot like you're holding on to Hercules' jockstrap. The jockstrap from Hercules himself. Do you know how valuable that is? And what makes it even more valuable is that there's still some fluid stains on it. So I want you to remember an image. Have that image of that jockstrap in your mind whenever you are handling the awesomeness that is my P1000. Other P1000s not quite as awesome because they don't have that history. So yes. But you also have to keep in mind that this camera has the potential for even more history to be bestowed upon it. That's where you come in. So no pressure, right?
Yeah, absolutely not at all. Just setting it up, trying to figure out, especially not all that extra gear like the mount. That's no stress at all.
No stress at all. Perfect. So this moves on to what I will be doing in my new location. I will be revealing everything in time in a few weeks. I just got to wait for a few final touches to be made, and then I will reveal all. But safe to say I'm far enough away that parallax measurements can be made with Astronomy Live back in Florida. So I am proud to announce that for me, I will be upgrading. So I no longer will have the Nikon P1000 at my disposal. That will be, of course, given to Big Mike for rocket launch videos in Florida, and it's perfectly suitable for the job. I was able to capture unbroken launch to landings with that camera, so it's possible for you to do the same. So good luck to you. But for me, I have upgraded, and I am proud to announce that with your guys' support, I have been able to purchase an 8-inch Celestron Edge HD telescope. I am now going to give Astronomy Live proper fucking challenges to his ISS tracking videos. And I plan to do a better job. I plan on it. I will be using Astronomy Live software, and he will be helping me, beat him at his own, work, I guess. It's kind of like that one time when Stephen Colbert won an Emmy or something, and then wanted to rub it in Jon Stewart's face, but then Jon Stewart was like, "I'm an executive producer on your show, so I win again, motherfucker." It's kind of like that situation.
Yeah, or I guess Anakin, Obi-Wan, the apprentice has become the master, but now you're a Dark Lord, so have fun with that.
Yeah, so now we just gotta come up with a nickname for the telescope. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, we have nicknames for Astronomy Live's telescope. So the one that I used to measure the distance to Mars, which allowed me to measure the distance to the sun, which flat earthers really fucking hate that shit, let me tell you. That telescope has a nickname, and that telescope's nickname is Big Blue. However, he has the bigger telescope, his 11-inch Celestron. And the 11-inch is called Megadeth for obvious reason. Thing's fucking massive. So we have Big Blue and we have Megadeth. So the question I have for you guys is very simple. What nickname should I give my telescope?
Blue balls.
Well, the telescope is white, so
White balls.
All the more fitting.
I mean,
Plus it's an 8-inch. You put an 8 on its side, it looks like a couple of balls.
there is a jizz joke in there somewhere.
How about cue ball?
Man, I was thinking something a little bit more badass, like, I don't know, Hawkeye or something. Oh, great. Everyone's siding with blue balls. What the fuck, guys? Okay, so let's see. Blue balls it is. Great. Everyone's just gonna. Oh man, let me go ahead.
Ash Scott has a great question for you, though.
What's the question? Read it out.
White and 8 inches. Are you sure you didn't dream it?
I mean,
How about a good time?
let me get this up here so we can see. So let me share my screen. Go to this thingamajig and doohickey. Boom. All right, y'all should be seeing that right there. So there's an image of the new telescope right there. Again, Celestron 8-inch Edge HD. And the reason why I went for the Edge HD is because it has the upgraded mount. The mount is a little bit better, more sturdy. It's upgraded from the standard one. Now, it does mean that I have to get used to the Edge HD optics, which apparently are very picky in terms of back focus, but I will be able to figure that out. And for stuff like planetary observations and observing satellites and stuff, back focus isn't really all that important. It's only when you're doing deep sky that back focus becomes really, really important. But thankfully, I am in contact with a gentleman by the name of Professor Nixie. You may have heard of Professor Nixie from MC Toon's YouTube channel, and I want to thank MC Toon for introducing me to Professor Nixie. Professor Nixie is actually going to be sending me some equipment through the mail to test out to make sure that I like the equipment, that it does what I need it to do, and then I can purchase it myself. And I cannot wait to get a proper camera on this damn thing. I really, really cannot wait to get a proper camera on this damn thing. It's going to be running, like I said, Astronomy Live software. I'm going to be able to track the International Space Station, and the camera that I'm going to get has a global shutter, which will eliminate more of the jelloing effect that you see in some shots where other people are, you know, trying to track a fast moving object and the object appears to jiggle a little bit. That's because of a rolling shutter. Actually, Astronomy Live, can you briefly explain, you know, the difference, global shutter, rolling shutter, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, so with global shutter, all the pixels are read out from a single moment in time. With rolling shutter, the shutter is not read out all at once, and so you have although you have a single frame, that frame actually represents slightly different moments in time from the first pixel to the last. And so if you have motion in frame during the exposure, it will not only potentially motion blur the object, but you'll actually distort the appearance of the object due to the rolling shutter. So let's say that you're panning left to right very quickly and you're panning past some tall, straight buildings. They're not going to look straight. They're actually going to look slanted because of the rolling shutter artifact. And so when you're tracking fast-moving rockets, fast-moving satellites, that can definitely create a problem. It's not a desirable aspect of a camera. It's something that I live with Blackmagic. It's definitely a downside to that camera. The upside is that it has the onboard audio capture capability, and it can run completely independent of any computer. So I can record launches directly to the camera and with high bit depth and with onboard audio. So that's all good, but the downside is it does not have global shutter. So it does suffer from rolling shutter artifacts. And when you're shooting, say, ISS and you want to stack the frames, you want each of the frames that are closely spaced in time to be virtually identical to each other, except for whatever true change in the shape of the object there is due to changing perspective as it flies overhead. But with rolling shutter, it can be very subtle, and you actually get slight distortions of the shape of ISS, not enough to really notice anything is out of place. But when you go to stack the frames, you get a blurring effect where the result doesn't come out as crisp as it should, because you actually had rolling shutter that was affecting the frames there. If you're tracking something that's very slow to move, like a planet or the moon, it's not an issue. It doesn't manifest at all. But when you're tracking something very fast, like a space station or a rocket, it's definitely a problem to consider.
Yeah. And I do want to say Slice Arcane does indeed win. Thank you, Peter Harrington. I did see that there. Baller, big-assed, long lens, empirical recorder. I fucking love that shit. That's amazing. Slice Arcane, you're a fucking genius. I love it. That's the name of the new telescope.
I had a suggestion.
That works.
I had a
You
suggestion.
still went back to the balls.
Is it better than Baller?
It's not, but you'll appreciate it. I don't think anyone else here will get it, but since I know more about this telescope's history than anyone else here, just about, I was going to suggest Big Beaver.
I see your point.
But here's the thing, Astronomy Live. We want the name to be something that Reds can actually obtain.
Oh, man. I didn't mean it like that. I really didn't.
It's all right. It's all right. I can understand it. In fact, let me tell you a news story. That actually reminds me of a news story that I heard. There was a kid called White Lightning who ran track and field, and he broke a record by running, like, what was it, 100-meter dash or whatever in 9.78 seconds. Coincidentally, people call 82 Productions White Lightning because he also finishes in under 10 seconds.
Ouch.
So moving on.
Fair play. Fair play.
But Baller is a great name. Slice Arcane, you have won the internet. I appreciate it, and I am going to find some way to get that stenciled onto the tripod because why the fuck not? But yes, I am going to be upgrading. So let's understand the network that we're building here. We have Big Mike in Florida that's going to be tracking rocket launches out of Cape Canaveral. We have Astronomy Live also in Florida that's going to be doing his normal telescope shit, tracking satellites, planets, and rockets. But we also have me, and I will tell you this, I am over 1,000 miles away, and this gives us the ability to make parallax measurements. Now, Astronomy Live, tell everyone, how do you get parallax measurements on your own?
So normally what I do is I remote control a telescope over the internet using the iTelescope network. So I can command telescopes that are in Utah, California, Australia, Spain, all over the world. And it's a membership service. You pay monthly to be able to do this, but you can, when you want, you can command one of these scopes, or you can reserve it. And so I command it to point at whatever it is I want to get parallax observations of. And normally I like to use my telescope and then one of the iTelescopes to serve as the second reference point. So, for example, when we were doing the measurement of the sun, measurement of the distance to the sun, in order to get parallax on geostationary satellites, I controlled a scope in Chile while simultaneously controlling my scope in my own yard. And I was able to get pictures of the same satellite from two very different perspectives, and that gave me an excellent baseline to make parallax measurements and actually measure the distance to those satellites.
Now, no flat earther has made this objection yet, although I'm pretty sure after I say this, the objection is going to be made. But the objection could be, from the flat earther side, that because you are logging into a telescope remotely on a different continent, that there's a possibility that that may not be a real-time view of the night sky, that they could just be real-time CGIing that shit right to you, and what you think is a live view is actually just real-time CGI that you unknowingly paid for. Well, with my telescope over 1,000 miles away, and with Astronomy Live's telescope again in Florida, we eliminate that as a possibility because we have an individual at both telescopes that is actively involved in this fucking debate. So you have me and you have Astronomy Live. So there you go. We're able to monitor exactly what's happening. We have the ability to change cameras if we want, thus changing the view. We have the ability to offer a remote access to either telescope to flat earthers if they want to vet our work. You want to go ahead and check our shit, by all means, be my guest. Log in to our telescopes. You can take control of it. You can go ahead and take images with it. And I'll let you, make your own measurements with it. You can check for yourself that what we're doing is legitimate. So that would just make our evidence even stronger, more lethal to the flat earth conspiracy. It gets rid of a possible excuse that they can put forward. I mean, I've heard some crazy shit in my day. They say that NASA has the ability to real-time hack Nikon P1000s by linking satellites in outer fucking space, which kind of goes against their argument to begin with, but they don't think about this that far. You know what I'm saying? But we're able to get rid of that as a argument because we'll have two people at two different spots with their own telescopes doing this fucking measurement. And it's that kind of shit that I want to put on this channel going forward. I want to do measurements of geostationary satellites. I want to do measurements of GPS satellites. I want to capture my own imagery of the International Space Station. And I want to be able to maybe film rockets from a different launch site. I will be very, very far away, but I have seen it where I could see rocket launches from that other launch site that isn't Cape Canaveral. Again, more details to come in the later months, but just knowing that that is a possibility is absolutely amazing, and there's a lot of good shit in the future.
I mean, honestly, I know you're talking about wallops, but even rocket launches out of the Cape, if they're headed to the ISS and they're taking the northern route along the eastern seaboard, I suspect it's probably possible for you to track them from where you are, even though it's nowhere near the Cape.
And how fucking cool would that be? How fucking cool would that be? Because remember the argument, guys. The argument is that as these rocket launches, launch, and they get further and further away, that eventually the whole thing falls into the ocean. Not just the first stage, but also the second stage, the payload, all of it falls into the ocean. Well, if I'm able to capture the second stage and the payload from over 1,000 miles away, that shows that it did not fall into the fucking ocean. It's still going.
You remember the videos that Wally and some others were doing, putting together my video and other people's videos of USF 67, and we had that one from, I think it was Myrtle Beach in the Carolinas, and they saw it appear on the horizon. Like there was a moment before where you couldn't see it, and suddenly, boom, there it is. There's the flame on the horizon, and that was, well after it had taken off from Florida. It was flying high at that point. If you could get that from even further away, where you can use my software to slew to the horizon and wait. If you can get to the beach with your scope and you set it up and you slew to the horizon and wait, and you have to wait for like a minute or more for it to rise, and suddenly it's there. Oh,
now
they're going to be so mad.
Yeah, they would be. And I do have to give a huge shout out to Jared 82 Productions, because this dude has shown me some access points that give me one hell of a vantage point. It's awesome. And so if I were to go to these locations and set it up and then capture this thing from over 1,000 miles away, you'll have flat earthers making the argument that that rocket launch that you just witnessed, that Big Mike captured, for example, fell into the ocean and didn't actually go to space. You can say, bitch, because on this night, or on this particular launch, we actually captured the second stage and the payload from over 1,000 miles away. Boom, cut to Red's Rhetoric's footage from his telescope. Oh man, the butthurt would just be dripping. There'll be so much, but it would be the Niagara Falls of butthurt.
Now we just need to find someone in the UK or, somewhere in Europe to continue tracking it, so we can just be like, okay, Florida, northern U.S., and across the Atlantic. How much further do you want to go to establish
it didn't
that
fall
it
into
is
the fucking ocean at that point, right?
Exactly. And if it does, it's going to fall somewhere near Russia or in Russia, at which point, where's all the space wreck?
Not very much. But with that, this is where I asked the live chat a big question. See, I mentioned over here that I wanted to use a global shutter. To make a long story short, it's the ASI 174mm. That is the camera that I am aiming for. So I'll just type that out one right here. So boom, boom. All right, there it is. The ASI 174mm. You all can look that up on your own. It's a $500 camera, a purpose-built astronomy camera. It is monochrome. That's what the MM stands for. And the reason why I wanted to go for a monochrome camera is because it is more sensitive to light. Astronomy Live has a camera called the S-Big. And the S-Big camera is exactly what I used to make my measurements of Mars when I was in Colorado with Big Blue. Now, the S-Big is a fantastic camera, but it's a bit dated and you can't really buy them brand new anymore, I don't think. I think you're stuck with the used market. Well, even though the ASI 174mm isn't the S-Big camera, it does similar things. And because it's a monochrome cameras are naturally just more sensitive to light, if I am getting that right. And also, being that it has less data to process at the same time, I guess there is the possibility of a global shutter being implemented, which with the 174mm, it is. So that gets rid of the jelloing effect. Now, this means my images should be clearer in terms of contrast, should be sharper. However, they are going to be black and white. And to the people in the live chat, I do want to ask you, Do you believe that's going to be a problem that they're not in color? I don't think it's going to be, because it's completely irrelevant when it comes to making measurements, which is the whole point of this setup. It's to make measurements, is to capture factual events happening. And I want to be able to see like the structure of the International Space Station. I want to get the sharpest possible image possible. And that image exists whether it's in color or not. But I'm just wondering, would people actually care that it's in black and white? Because me personally, I wouldn't.
I mean, having some of them in black and white would be pretty cool, but who was it in the chat? Gary had mentioned something to do with it too, and that's where if you do the stacked and you do the red, blue, and green filters, you can then make your own full color image from that and show that, yes, what NASA does with some imagery from some of the satellites that are out in orbit is a legit process.
Yeah, the color wheel would be for deep sky objects, but for fast moving objects such as the International Space Station, a color wheel just wouldn't be feasible. So if I am tracking satellites, or if I'm tracking the International Space Station, or if I'm tracking rocket launches from my location here, a color wheel isn't going to be feasible. So it will be in black and white. I know that flat earthers are going to complain about everything. Well, why isn't it in color? Blah, blah, blah. But I'm just wondering if they're so desperate to reject my evidence just because it is in black and white. I mean, I'm not going to put anything beyond them. I mean, sure, it is something that can feasibly happen from their side. They're going to argue, well, because it's not in color, I don't trust it, or whatever the fuck. But
no, dude,
would they
they're going to deny it anyways. They're
And not
going to
only
find
that-
any reason to deny it. So color or black and white doesn't matter.
And not only that, if they're really that worried, Astronomy Live, he has a color camera. So you talk about the space station, it was just like, oh, Astronomy Live has the space station in color. Not that it matters, that color is already still pretty much a borderline copper, silver, gray. So having color really doesn't change much. But hey, you want color? Somebody else has already captured it in color. He knows him personally. You worked with him, so you can testify to his work. I can testify to his work. We can both testify that his camera can capture in color. So yes, you're right. They will make that argument, but it really kind of falls apart when you just say, oh, well, someone else has it in color for you.
What I plan on doing when I'm making my observations is that I plan on breaking out my second camera, which is the GoPro Hero 5 Black. It's an older GoPro. It's an oldie but a goodie. And I just apparently my old battery exploded, so I had to purchase.
I wonder why.
Gee, I wonder why. Yeah, it's because it hasn't been fucking used in a while. But I bought new batteries for it, and so I am happy to report that it is working right now. And I will be using that to film the telescope doing the observation, and that will be in color. So if anyone has any doubts about the legitimacy of the footage just because it's in black and white, I can immediately squash that shit by using a GoPro filming the scope while it does the observation. In fact, there's I'm trying to figure out different ways that I can film this. Like, do I have the GoPro mounted to the scope itself looking at the sky, or do I have the GoPro looking at just the scope by itself? I'm still debating that, what would be better to demonstrate that this shit isn't fake and that I'm not real-time CGIing this shit. I'm not sure, but there's options that I have. Because even though I'm giving Big Mike the Nikon P1000, the flat earther camera of choice, I'm not giving him all of my cameras. I still got some shit on my side, and I will be filming this from multiple different angles at the exact same time, so I can show people that this is actually a thing that's happening. So I guess in that case, it doesn't matter. And I know that other cameras from ASI are color, but I really want the global shutter. I really, really want the global shutter. And that's why I'm leaning towards the monochrome cameras, because they are a global shutter. I see here from Eric the Cat, he has a ASI 678MC. Now, MC is the color version of these cameras. Let me take a look at this one right here. All right, so according to ZWO, we have the, let's see, we have the camera at $299, not a bad price. We have a sensor IMX678, obviously, resolution 3840 by 2160, really, really good. Frames per second is 47.5, and that's an issue because the 174mm can go up to over 120 frames per second. And when it comes to tracking the International Space Station, you want the highest frame rate possible. If this thing caps out at 47.5, I'm not going to be very happy with that. I want the highest frame rate possible, and the 174mm goes up to, well, it goes past actually 120 frames per second, which I think is absolutely fucking amazing. And I think monochrome cameras are just more sensitive to light in general. So,
well, yeah, I mean, there's that part of it. I don't know that particular camera has the highest quantum efficiency of any I've ever seen, but certainly monochrome cameras have the advantage that all the pixels are doing the same thing at once. So if you're using color filters, every picture you take, every single pixel is providing data on that color. Or if you're shooting in monochrome, every single pixel is providing luminance data, just contrast. And so you end up with a potentially higher quality photo than you can get out of a one-shot color camera like the S-Big that I use.
And another advantage to this one, which I think can be the case in other color ASI cameras, but this one definitely has it has something called binning. Now, I know exactly what binning is, but I know Astronomy Live can explain it better than I can. So, Astronomy Live?
So, yeah, binning is the concept where you can command the camera to put the pixels together so that they work as one larger pixel effectively. So you can bin 2x2 or 3x3 or even 4x4. But the more you bin, the lower your resolution. You're cutting it in half or a third or even a quarter of your original full resolution of the camera. But that provides you a couple of advantages. One is sensitivity. You have photons falling onto a larger surface area, so you're getting more photons per pixel, which can then do a better job of getting above the read noise. So when you read out the pixels from a camera, and I'm not sure exactly if this works the same on a CMOS as it does with a CCD. I'm more familiar with the CCD readout process, but the readout process itself has a certain amount of noise penalty that comes with each pixel that is read out. So if you are collecting photons over fewer pixels, but over a larger surface area, you're potentially generating more charge. You should be generating more charge per pixel, and that gives you a better signal-to-noise ratio in the resulting image. So essentially, it increases your sensitivity. The upshot is you get what are effectively more sensitive images where you might be able to see, say I'm trying to position a galaxy in the frame. The galaxy is too dim to pick up in 2 seconds with a short exposure at full resolution. But when I bend the pixels 2x2 or more, I can start to see it. And so that gives you the advantage of being able to position your shots better, just to take deep space shots. Or if you're going after a fast moving target like an asteroid and you're tracking on the stars, it also gives you an advantage because the amount of time that the asteroid is on a pixel is going to increase when those pixels are now larger. And again, we talk about read noise, we talk about signal to noise ratio. In order to see the asteroid all, you have to get above the bare minimum of the signal of the noise level of the camera. And if you're trying to do that at 1x1 bending at the full resolution of the camera, if you have a very high resolution camera, each pixel might be less than an arc second in the sky. And so the asteroid might move off of that pixel in a couple of seconds. So it doesn't matter how long the exposure is. You can crank up the exposure as much as you like. You will never detect the asteroid unless you start bending the pixels to be able to have the asteroid stay on the pixel long enough to get above the read noise. Or if you do direct tracking, you can then obviously you can integrate more light on the asteroid in a single frame. But if you're just tracking on the stars, then and trying to get the asteroid as a streak going through the frame or a dim satellite, you won't see it unless the satellite is on the pixel long enough to get above the noise level, which is a function both of the satellite or the asteroid's brightness, but also a function of the binning.
Thank you so much, Astronomy Live, and also wanted to respond to this. At Red, you are too concerned about flurf opinion. Just enjoy the hobby and don't curse the weather. Weather, I completely understand. I'll have to do the reverse rain dance every single time I take my telescope out. But when it comes to flurf opinions, it's not about being concerned about their opinions. It's about tailoring my content to the preferred audience. And while I hate to admit this, my audience is the flat Earth community. And in order to make my videos more lethal, I have to plan ahead for what objections they may make. The reason why it took so long for us to get our video about measuring the distance to the sun out is because we had to plan ahead for every single objection that they could possibly make. And I think for the most part, we did a really, really good job. And it's gotten like we were spot on with that video, to the point where they had to literally invent new objections, like not understanding what a tangent plane is, or being like, well, because you used a tangent plane, therefore flat Earth. They literally have to make these stupid fucking arguments that reflect badly on them to even attempt to reject our video. In fact, one individual rejected the video based on the thumbnail alone because he couldn't argue with any of the information that was in the video itself. Astronomy Live knows that story, and Big Mike the same. It's like, bro, the thumbnail is simply an artistic representation of what we're doing, but it's not meant to represent reality. Big Mike was actually in the thread having this argument.
That was just completely pathetic. It's just, it's okay if you want to argue the merit of someone's work and their what they actually have done. That's that's at least a discussion to be made. But that's the problem. He didn't even open the video. He didn't even try to look at it. He just, oh, thumbnail. That doesn't look right. I'm gonna argue this, and it's just like, okay, there are literally 3 points I could break this down to between. Is this what Red intended? Is that what was actually being suggested? And is that being referred to or referenced anywhere in the video? Literally could not answer or address any of this. And that's, oh, I can go on.
They're at the point of trying to find excuses to not even watch the videos, to not have to respond to them. And you see this with the Bill and Ted gang now, too, to my videos. They just say, well, it's boring shit. That's literally what they say. Oh, it's boring shit. I'm not even going to watch it. Okay.
It's why I've had
to go that route.
Yeah, it's why I've turned to images. You see me post a lot. It's because anything that takes it, it's sad. Somebody else pointed this out to me in a space yesterday. Their attention span has genuinely become TikTok bites. If it's longer than a TikTok, or it has too much information condensed into a TikTok-sized space, they just can't handle it. They don't even watch it. They don't listen. They just stop. So I have to try to bite-size factual information into an image, whether it be atmospheric pressure readings, people who have seen the curvature there. I have to package all this proof and evidence into an image, because if I can't, they won't even look at it. They won't listen. They won't look at it. And it's put me off of making videos for a while, but you know what? Screw it at this point. I just want to do it to do it. So I'm going to finally make some, and that goes on alongside these rocket videos that are going to come up, which are going to be real handy.
Oh yeah, to me, and I've always said this, but my motivation for making videos has always differed from Red. My motivation is because I just want to make the content I want to make. I don't care if they watch it or not, and I don't care if they respond to it or not. I want to make the videos that I want to make. I want to learn these subjects myself. I want to practice my skills myself. To me, making these measurements is a challenge, and that's the fun of it to me. And then just putting it all together in the video is just presenting my work. And as a scientist, that just comes with the territory, and that's just something that I enjoy doing. So I don't ultimately care if they watch my videos or not, but I do recognize that there's a shift in the attention span of these flat earthers. Or I don't know, is it just that? Is it honestly just an attention span shift, or is there dishonesty too to the whole situation as well, where they're looking for I think this is part of it. They're looking for excuses to not even have to say that they watched it. Whether they did or not, they don't want to, because it's bulletproof and there's really nothing they can use to attack.
Exactly. And I wouldn't go so far as to say that it's like TikTok attention span issues. I don't think that's it at all. But that's me personally. And the reason why I think that is because flat earthers are also not immune from making long form content. And you see flat earthers constantly watching their shit, gobbling it up, getting clips out so that they can post shorter form content on Twitter. But that's a section of a much larger stream that they had to watch in the first place in order to get that clip. So they clearly have the capability and the time to watch longer videos. 45 minutes for a video is nothing compared to what these guys watch when it comes to the flat earth side of things. I'm sure they gobble this shit up for hours and hours and hours. I wouldn't be surprised if they fall asleep to the shit. So I don't think it is the length of the video that's the problem. I don't think that at all. And I also don't think it's the thumbnail. I think it's complete and total dishonesty. I think they do watch it. I think they did. They do watch it. They did watch it. And after they watched it, they were like, oh shit, I can't really attack this in any way because it's fucking bulletproof. I can't say that they assumed Kepler's third law, because not only did they derive the equation on their own, they fucking tested it in reality, which means they're justified to use it. They didn't use anyone else's value for the radius of the Earth. They measured that shit on their own. They didn't use anyone else's value for the size of Mars. They measured that shit on their own. They didn't use anyone else's value when they measured the distance to Mars, because, as I just said, they measured the distance to Mars on their own. It's like everything that we used in that video, we got from our own work or from other amateur astronomers, have absolutely nothing to do with NASA. Like, NASA was not referenced once in that video. And I know that that is very apparent if you were to watch it from start to finish. And when they see that, then their normal rebuttals don't work, because their normal rebuttals are, well, you're just taking NASA's word for it. Well, what happens when that's obviously not the case? Well, you have to find some flaw in their methodology, and they can't. I was asking multiple flat earthers, name one flaw, specifically name the flaw in the video that shows an error with my methodology. Name it, point to the time code, and show me. They can't do it. They cannot do it. And so, getting back to the point of this, the reason why we have to take Flurf's concerns into account is because ultimately that is my audience. My audience is flat earthers, and I have to think ahead. I have to be like, what objection could they possibly make, and how can I make that objection fucking irrelevant? How can I make it so that it would be stupid to bring it up? And so this is what we do. We plan ahead. We do the best we can to make sure that they can't even make that argument in the first place. And as a result, they're forced to deal with the evidence and deal with the fact that they don't have any argument, and then come up with some stupid shit that makes them look even more ridiculous than previously. And that's the whole point. The point is to show their intellectual dishonesty, basically getting worse and worse and worse over time. I want it to be so obvious that these flat earthers are engaged in intellectual dishonesty when they're arguing against our shit, because it is so lethal to the flat earth conspiracy. And it not only is obvious to us, it's obvious to other flat earthers around them, which will hopefully make them think that, maybe I shouldn't follow this guy. Maybe I shouldn't believe everything this other dude is telling me, just because he has a fucking app to sell that doesn't work. That's the hope, at least. But if that is not something that's accomplished with every single flat earther, the one thing that is guaranteed to happen is I will make them look bad when they attempt to argue against it. So there's that.
I think at this point, yeah, I mean, it's amazing to me the level that they're stooping to now. There are new depths being explored in their own credibility that I didn't know they could reach. You see this with Shane stealing Walter's code and blatantly using the globe for his predictions and claiming, no, it's a flat Earth prediction because I projected it on a flat Earth map, therefore flat Earth prediction. Like that is complete, not only intellectually dishonest, it's completely unethical as well and violates Walter's IP. But it doesn't seem to matter to any of them. They don't seem to have any problem with this. And so I have to ask the question, at what point do they acknowledge they're being ridiculous? Is there anything they could possibly do? Is there anything they could possibly be caught doing that they would say, oh, this is bad. Yeah, we need to kick this person out of their community, instead of celebrating him?
Short of physically harming someone and it being confirmed, I don't see him doing that. Because you have to keep in mind what I almost always say on these shows when it comes to them. If it weren't for double standards, they'd have no standards at all.
Yeah, I mean, there really is no bottom, and that's the problem. Is it's becoming borderline what you see from a religious cult. Just any large group that believes something so intently that nothing is wrong to them. In the same way that burning witches and for the Salem witch trials was seen as acceptable. The active prosecution and harming people. I mean, you see them; they're anti-Semites. What, do you really think they would stop at that if they were given the chance to just insult them? Do you not think that they would support the subjugation and prosecution of innocent people? No. When they're already showing that they're willing to go to that lengths, any sort of honorability or honesty kind of really dies, and their actions continue to prove that they're no better than their thoughts and their claims. Because every time we try to give them some sort of credibility, like, okay, let's hear you out. Let's maybe my mind's playing tricks on me that you're lying. Maybe let me just see what's truly going on. And you dig a little deeper, and no, it really is dishonesty. They're not going to pay attention to your video. They're just going to attack the thumbnail instead. They'll literally misquote and fabricate what people have said just to try and suit their narratives. There really is no end. They will steal content that we've seen, and they will continue to do it because they at this point, it is a religious cult. They will argue that globe earthers are religious, but here's the thing: at the end of the day, globe earthers don't steal other people's content. We make our own. You do your own work and you verify each step of the way. They don't. They always fall short. They either forget something, they intentionally exclude something, they try to obfuscate something. You're trying to keep something out of the view so that way their narrative can continue unchallenged. And that's really is. It's all about, it's a buildup of dishonesty. And where will it end? Not really anywhere. It'll just continue until they have isolated themselves. The rest of the world will continue to make jokes about them, but that's the truth. It will become very black and white. If you're going to become a flat earther, that means you have to completely disregard a huge chunk of things, and you have to understand that you're going to argue in an entirely dishonest way. But if you're going to be accept anything else, it's going to be accepting the world as it is, or the dishonesty of flat earth, because it will be black and white, because there will be no middle ground. You can't believe that the earth is flat and not accept all these other overlook all these points of dishonesty that they've done.
There's two things. One, this is why the hashtag gotta light a flurf exists and why it's so fitting. And number two, this is the reason Brandolini's law is a thing. And Brandolini's law is going to be alive for a very, very long time because of the bullshit that's going on with flat earthers, where they're perfectly happy to lie. Like, they'll be fully aware that they're being lied to, and they won't care because they believe they can spin this to support their bullshit. Like what Astronomy Live was saying about the direct plagiarism and them using globe reality and just superimposing it onto a flat earth. Oh, well, no, it's flat earth evidence. No, it isn't, you dumb fuck. And Requiem, let me read his comment right here. Agreed. They are all dishonest. Saw a debate on Modern Day Debates the other night with PhD Tony against some flurfs. The flurf showed his screen and had DMs saying they planned to get Tony emotional. So basically, they were not entering this debate in good faith. And, you know, showing your screen and having your DMs open like that, oops, fucking oops. Kind of letting the cat out of the bag on that one, huh?
I think that speaks to a lot of the behavior we see lately with a lot of this, where I suspect that a lot of what's going on with people promoting Shane, knowing full well that he plagiarized Walter's code, knowing full well he lied about what that's based on, to them, they don't care, because their entire objective from the outset is to get their opponent emotional. They want to get under your skin. They want to have you lash out at their bad behavior. And they don't care if it's objectively bad behavior. That doesn't matter to them. It's just a game to them. It's about the sense of community they have with each other. And, you know, we as the outsiders, we are the what do you call it? What's the term for a heretic? Heretics. We are the heretics, right? And so, you know, it doesn't matter that their behavior might be bad and even completely dishonest. It's just, let's point at the Globers and laugh when they get upset when we steal their stuff and lie about it. Yeah, like, there's no way to have a reasonable conversation with someone who starts on that basis.
Exactly. And I have to you know, really facepalm at the fact that the dude showed his DMs. Now, I didn't see this debate, so I'm just taking his word for it, but I have no reason to doubt him. You know, but if that did actually happen, if he showed his screen and you could see the DM saying, oh, just get PhD Tony emotional, thou fucking get him. I was like, dude, eat shit at that point. You're not entering the debate in good faith. Like, seriously, get the fuck out of here in that case. It's clear you don't give a flying fuck. You're just here to troll. Like, wow. Way to give the game away like that. Holy fuck.
Well, again, I think that is the game to them, and that is the underlying current of all of this. And it's why the evidence doesn't matter. You can present them with whatever evidence you like. You could fly them to space and show them, and it doesn't matter. They will simply say it was all a trick.
I was drugged, and they had the new Apple VR headset on me, and because of the drugs, I couldn't feel it on my fucking cranium.
Yes, exactly. Like, they'll invent whatever excuse that they need to maintain the lie, because it's about the sense of community. It's about, they feel for whatever reason that they belong to this community of fellow flat earthers, and they don't belong to the mainstream society. And if they were to accept the evidence, that would mean they would have to leave that community. So you're never going to get them to break that bond over evidence. That's just never going to do the job. Well, the only way.
This is why my goal with us making this network is that, because right now what we have here is an oversaturation of fucking flat earth memes, and I know we're never going to catch up to that. These guys are a meme making factory. All of it is fucking wrong, but you don't really need to put much effort into making memes if all you're doing is spewing bullshit. You know, it doesn't really take much effort to make flat earth bullshit. But my hope is that we can also saturate the market with globe reality and rocket reality. That's where Astronomy Live, Big Mike come in. This is where I come in with my new telescope. I want us to tailor our content to debunking these shit eaters, because whether we like to admit it or not, there are some people on the fence. And I want to be able to make sure that they fall on the correct side of that fence. And if we allow these individuals to look at the information. We have a bunch of fucking memes right here, but we have individuals on this side that do their own work, make their own measurements, and are willing to let you control their shit in real time so you can make your own measurements too. If you're looking at this with, through an objective lens, you're going to be like, hey, Astronomy Life's got some good shit over here. Meanwhile, you have memes that assert that NASA faked a particular image when in reality it was someone else on Shutterstock.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
That was funny. That was funny. I offered that motherfucker, true story. He posted an image of, the same astronaut, but with two different backgrounds. Like, this is what NASA likes to do, copy paste bullshit. And I go, show me both of those images on NASA's own website or some other NASA controlled publication. Show me both of those fucking images directly from NASA, and I will give you $1,000. Didn't ever happen. Never happened. He couldn't find them, and there's a reason why. It's because he was full of shit.
And that's the thing, is it's not even like it's the only time. What was it? Rufus recently just posted another video from an ISS spacewalk, and people started doing digging, and yes, it was from a spacewalk, but the stars he was ranting about suddenly existing. What was it? Either they had upped the contrast or something, or they had actually added it in. I didn't see the final result.
Yeah, no, it was hot pixels. They were in the original video. I actually downloaded the raw original file that I think they used because their source, I think they must have had access to the 1080p copy. The YouTube copies I found were all 720p, but the original NASA source links to an archive.org copy that is 1080p at much higher bit rate, much less compression. But it's a 9 gig download, and it's a slow download from archive.org. I spent several hours today doing that. But if you up the brightness with a curves adjustment, they've done a curves adjustment where they didn't just up the brightness, but they did a curves adjust where they only upped the brightness at the bottom of the histogram so that the astronaut wouldn't look much brighter, but the background looked a lot brighter than it did originally to bring out the hot pixels. And if you astrometrically try to solve that, it doesn't find any matches. Like, that was a wide area of the sky. It should have come up with a solution very easily. There were no solutions because it's a random distribution of hot pixels.
And let me go ahead and respond to this. The point I'm making is that we all observe the same reality. Some of us believe things that others don't. Yeah, but some of us can justify our beliefs. You can't. You believe that the Earth is flat, and you cannot justify that belief. You have to reject clear, definitive evidence to the contrary in order to believe that the Earth is flat. That's the difference.
Something I'm seeing a lot of their arguments is starting to break down what they're trying to do. And you even saw this when you were arguing with Band Notice. What they're doing is they're shifting a lot of their arguments. They're trying to take something that's objective, like the shape of the Earth, and they're trying to shift it to, as you saw, philosophy. But basically, they're just breaking it down from objective, something that's objective, measurable, testable, to something that's subjective.
Not just
things that you can't test.
Not just that, Big Mike. The motherfucker brought up Fauci. Oh, did you know that? Did you know that Fauci was being a douchebag during the pandemic? Therefore, flat Earth. And I'm like, you dense motherfucker. Fauci being a douchebag has absolutely nothing to do with the shape of the fucking Earth. Get your shit together.
But Red, why didn't you address, what was it, the final number, 52 other points I brought up? Why didn't you address all of them in your, 2 5-minute sections? Why didn't you address all of them?
Yeah.
It's absolute gitch gallop.
I too can spew random bullshit and just layer it on. And I think in the next debate, I didn't know this had to be stated, but I guess it does have to be stated going forward. But if you're in a debate and you purposefully oversaturate the amount of arguments that you are going to put forward, you're actually the fucking loser in that case. That is a tactic where for a fact the other person isn't going to be able to address every single fucking thing. I know Slice Barcane made a video about it, and I highly recommend you all watch that video because it's really, really good.
It's why in academic circles they don't run a debate anywhere close to that. For one, the moderator actually, gets involved and is actually unbiased. But ignoring that, at least if you're going to bring up points, the points are at least either previously known. You either share what you're going to tackle. Even if you're not going to share exactly what the breakdown is, you're going to say, I'm going to tackle this, I'm going to tackle this, I'm going to tackle this. Or if you're even in light of that, you'll at least have come into the debate knowing that I am going to tackle 5 points. You don't say what they are, but at least you state that I am going to limit it to 5 points. So that way, when they bring it up, you can focus enough of your efforts. And again, part of this is you need to be able to bring your work. You need to be able to bring something to show what you're talking about. Can't do that in Spaces, but you've already ranted enough about that.
Yeah,
So,
I hate Spaces for that shit too. And the reason why I recommended Slice Barkane's videos because it's so thorough. And he brings up that point as well, Big Mike. He brings up the fact that Spaces fucking sucks for this shit. And this is why it's been so difficult to debate flat earthers, because not only are Twitter Spaces hellish echo chambers, but they suck. They fucking suck. The only way to do anything even remotely feasible in that on that platform is to use your cell phone. Whereas with this platform, I can be on my computer, I can have a solid wired internet connection, I can screen share in real time. For that one, you have to use your phone, then you have to flip through multiple screens, then you have to make a tweet, and then after you make that tweet, only then can you share your evidence to the space. It absolutely blows so much ass. But to put it all condensed, and then we'll move on to the other issue that I wanted to discuss in this stream, is that you have oversaturation of supposed evidence or arguments for the flat earth side, knowing damn well that with the limited time that the other person has available, they ain't going to be able to get to everything. And then dishonestly asserting that means you won something because they weren't able to get to absolutely everything. So you prop up the points that your opponent didn't get to as evidence that they couldn't counter those points in the first place. I'm like, no, that's not how it fucking works. And the way that we can demonstrate that is by having another debate. We can have another debate. Not only in this debate, we will have a definitive rule that states that you are limited to 5 pieces of evidence, which means that if you present 5 pieces of evidence, you are limited to those 5 pieces of evidence. Don't add more later, and don't bring up fucking Fauci being a douchebag. Otherwise, that shows that you really don't have anything for your side. So hopefully we'll find flat earthers in the future that are willing to agree to that, but I imagine that's going to be very difficult. And it's also going to be damn near impossible to get them to leave Twitter, because Twitter is now their new favorite echo chamber, even though it's owned by a guy that literally has a rocket company. The irony has never been so thick. So yeah. Strami Live, that's a very, very nice video that you have there. Would you like to explain to the individuals watching what that is?
Yeah, that's evidence the Earth is rotating. That's Viasat 3, which unfortunately for poor Viasat 3, its antenna didn't deploy properly. But the one good thing it did in its life, it did serve a purpose. It was our target for a geostationary satellite for validating Kepler's third law and measuring the distance to the sun. Also, as you can see, it's not moving. It's that bright star in the center of the image. The stars are streaking by, but it's not moving. It's perfectly stationary. And so,
let me guess. Let me guess, Astronomy Live. Your telescope motors were off.
Yes. Yeah.
It was interesting. Interesting how that works.
Yeah. The telescope motors were not running. It was just sitting there. And we're not seeing any evidence of propulsion. There's no active propulsion. It's not floating around like a balloon. A balloon would not be stationary. It would drift around. It's not drifting. It's staying right where it is. And so with measurements of parallax using a telescope in Chile at the same time, I'm able to actually measure the distance of this object. It's nowhere near the altitude a balloon could ever fly at. It's not even in low Earth orbit. It's a geostationary satellite. So that's evidence that Earth is rotating, which is the only reason it is able to stay in orbit. Otherwise, it would fall back to Earth's surface. It would be on a suborbital trajectory, but it's not, because it's orbiting Earth with a velocity equal to be able to complete one orbit at the same time that Earth rotates once. Also, if you look at the orbital period and you measure that orbital period of this satellite, it is not exactly 24 hours. It's a little less than 24 hours, because Earth actually rotates a little faster than once every 24 hours. That is a sidereal day. And what we go by with our watches is a mean solar day. We look at the time it takes the sun to return to the same spot in the sky, but that takes a little bit longer because we're orbiting the sun. So it takes a little extra time for the sun to return to the same spot in the sky each day. And it doesn't really return to the same spot because of the changing of the seasons, but returns to the meridian, let's say, one meridian transit to the next. Now, this satellite is in a geostationary orbit that is equal to the rotation period of Earth with respect to the distant stars and galaxies, not with respect to the sun. So its orbital period actually reflects the length of a sidereal day. So it also provides evidence that we are orbiting the sun and that the sidereal day is in fact different from a mean solar day.
So there you go. Evidence that the Earth is rotating, and effed up world, you now need to present a rebuttal to this piece of evidence. Good luck, you're going to need it. All right, let's get into some bad news, unfortunately. And we're going to start the bad news by taking a trip down memory lane. We're going to go all the way back to the year 2018. 2018. What a shitty year that was. So, if you guys remember, my car had a nickname, and the nickname was called the Hamburghini. Now, I'm going to give it to 82 Productions to tell the story of what happened with my previous car, which was a 2015 Chevrolet Cruze. 82 Productions, tell them what happened.
Oh, the wonderful epic of radiator bacon. So, for those who are unaware, at the time, Reds was living in a wonderfully remote section of Florida, otherwise known as America's Penis, where he was coming home late one night. And by late, we mean pitch fucking black, middle of nowhere, no streetlights, nothing, just headlights and music blaring. And then all of a sudden, something pops up, and there's no way to avoid it. So he doesn't just hit what crossed into the road, he ramped the fuckers. In the process, destroying the radiator of his car, ripped off the oil pan, and did some other massive undercarriage damage. Didn't lose control of the car, thankfully, but it was, shall we say, effervescent with the results of it. Nothing like hot metal scraping across freshly shorn skin off of the carcass of something.
Oh, it was awful.
Oh. But here's the wonderful thing. Because of the accident and having insurance coverage, police came out, evaluated the scene, did a body count, and came up with a number of 4. Reds, being the person that he is, has a dash cam. Pulls the footage off, goes back and watches it, goes frame by frame. It wasn't 4 pigs. It was not 4 wild pigs that he hit. He hit 3, completely eviscerating one of them to look like 4.
Yep. One pig was split in half and was counted as a separate pig. So the police officer said 4, footage says 3, and I'm like, oh God, that's so sick. Now, there's an additional part to that story, and that was what happened the next day. I had my vehicle towed from that location to the house that I was staying at, and I went to bed, and I woke up the next morning to inspect the damage in the sunlight. The whiff. Oh my God, it was
in the wonderful warm. Oh God, I think it was early summer.
There were flies everywhere, all over the front of my, not the back of car, just the front of my car was just covered in flies. And then I did something I probably shouldn't have done, but curiosity got the better of me. I popped the hood. And look, we make we make very uncomfortable jokes on this stream. I'm not going to try to describe the smell that I got from popping the hood. It was so awful. It was like you pop the hood and you're like, it was bad. It was bad. Oh, it was vomit inducing. You know, vomit was better than that fucking stench. But moving on. So I get the vehicle towed off by my insurance company, and they tell me, okay, we're going to go ahead and give you money for this car because the dash cam shows it wasn't well lit. It wasn't your fault, even though we said it was. So that's a lesson for all you guys. Get a dash cam. That's going to come up later. So they towed it off and they totaled out the car because the car was just too far gone, too damaged to be repaired. And that was the end of that. So they gave me money for the car. But unfortunately, the amount of money that they gave me wasn't enough to pay off the car because unfortunately, my dumbass didn't have gap coverage on the vehicle. And for those who don't know what gap is the amount difference between how much the vehicle is worth and how much you still owe on the vehicle itself. So if the vehicle is only worth like $10,000 and you still owe 13 on it, then your gap is $3,000, obviously. And my insurance wasn't going to pay that gap. So even though the accident wasn't my fault and they were going to pay for the vehicle, they weren't going to pay me enough to actually pay off the car. So I would still be in the negative, which absolutely sucked. Now, I fully admit that was my bad, but we had some friends who, without any instruction from me, mind you, want to make that clear, they made a GoFundMe on my behalf, which would help me pay off the gap, which will allow me to get transportation again. And that's where you guys came in. You guys came through. I do know that Astronomy Live came through. Jared82 Productions came through. A lot of you guys in the live chat came through. And you guys donated to that GoFundMe to help me out. I was able to pay off the gap with your guys' help, and I very much appreciate it. And with that debt completely taken care of, I was now free to focus on getting a different vehicle. So what I did was I made a desperation purchase. I wasn't thinking straight when I made the purchase, but I'm glad I did. You know, it all worked out. I got myself a 2018 Chevrolet Spark, the cheapest fucking car that Chevrolet had on their lot. The cheapest fucking car. I think at the time it was the cheapest car in all of America. I think that was the case. I think the Nissan Sentra was close. It was like $200 difference between the two. But I heard they had CVT problems, so I didn't want to take the risk on that. So I went with the Chevrolet Spark. And I promised you guys that this vehicle would be driven so that I can make content for you guys. So it's been everywhere. It's been to a lot of rocket launches. And I'm just going to go over what we've been able to accomplish with me getting this ride, which you guys helped me get. It's been to about 70 rocket launches. It's been to 25 states. It's been to 3 provinces, so 2 countries. It has helped me measure the altitude, size, and speed of the International Space Station. It helped me measure the size and the distance to Mars. It helped me measure the distance to the sun. It has a lot of accomplishments under its belt. And I was able to drive that vehicle to 20,000 miles, 40,000 miles, 70,000 miles, 100,000 miles, 120,000 miles, 125,000 miles. And that vehicle never left me stranded. It always came through for me. And I have you all to thank for helping me get that vehicle. Even though it was a desperation purchase at the time, I'm glad I made it, and I'm really happy that you guys helped me get that vehicle. So why am I telling you this right now? Well, it's because it's only fair, since you guys helped me get the vehicle, that I tell you the bad news. And the bad news kind of explains why I haven't been able to upgrade the telescope as quickly as I would like. I've been wanting to get the cameras for my new telescope and wanting to get the lenses and the adapters and the plates and whatever. But here's the problem. On my way home from work in February last month, on my way home from work, I was in bumper-to-bumper traffic. And in front of me was a big truck, and behind me was a large sedan that was going way too fast. Probably see where this is going. So as traffic started to slow down in front of me, I was braking as one should in bumper-to-bumper traffic, and I glance up at my rearview mirror, and there's a sedan coming towards me. And he's going way too fast. He ain't going to stop in time. I knew that if I were to stay where I was about to be sandwiched between this huge-ass sedan and the truck that was in front of me. So I did the only thing I could think to do at that time. I pulled to the left to avoid the truck that was in front of me, and that's when the impact happened. I was rear-ended by a careless driver that was not watching where he was going, and the impact sent me flying into the guardrail. I bounced off the guardrail and impacted the truck that was in front of me on his side, ramping it and coming to a rest at a 45-degree angle with my driver's side door facing the ground. The car that hit me after impacting my car continued forward and caved in the ass end of the truck. So the truck, I know, is going to need a new tailgate, if not a new bed, and maybe some framework. The car that hit me was totaled. And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, my vehicle was also totaled in this crash, which absolutely sucks because that vehicle was paid off. I took care of that thing. I did all my own oil changes. I took care of the CVT transmission because people don't realize you actually need to service them every now and then. The vehicle was spotless, even for a car that had almost 130,000 miles on it. It was a perfectly good car. And then some douchebag who wasn't looking where he was going decided to rock my shit and cave in the ass end of my car. And as a result, my car is now officially totaled. I do have dash cam footage of this accident. I will be sharing it in the future, but it will not be today. I'm still waiting for a few things to settle down. But once these things have settled down, I assure you guys, I will share that footage with all of you. And I'm already fucking seeing that I'm going to get a whole bunch of comments about, hey, can I use your footage in my dash cam archive channel? And I'm like, no, fuck off, you fucking parasites. So, yeah, I do have footage of the impact. Unfortunately, even though I had a rear dash cam, it wasn't installed. I only had the front, but the front provides enough context to the situation where you can definitively tell that the accident was not my fault. Not my fault whatsoever. I was following traffic. Everything was good on my end. And then this jackass comes up behind me and rear ends me, totaling my car outright. And in the process, totaling out his car and then continuing forward. He actually had enough momentum after pushing me so hard that I literally bounced off the guardrail. He had enough momentum to keep going and impact the truck that was in front of me. So this dude damaged 2 cars in front of him, including his own, and as a result, totaling his car out completely. So, wow. What a fucking day that was. And yes, that was about a month ago. I kept that information to myself for many, many reasons, and I'll get to those in a moment. But I wanted to let you guys know that the Chevrolet Spark that you all helped me get is dead. I had it towed to a particular shop. I worked with insurance. The dash cam really saved my ass on that one. The other guy was cited for causing the accident in the first place. It was definitively not my fault, obviously. And so the other guy's insurance company was forced to pay it out. So next month, I will be traveling back to Florida to pick up a new car. And thankfully, I'm in a situation where I can easily swing that on my own. But being that you guys helped me get that car in the first place, I wanted to make you all aware of what happened and why there's been a delay in getting the equipment necessary for my telescope, because I need to know what my financial obligations are going to be. Before I start blowing money on cameras and shit, I got to make sure that the car I get is not going to impact that budget too much. So I have to see where everything settles. And then after everything is settled, I will come back with another update. And on that particular update, I will show you guys the video of the accident as well as the pictures of the car so that you can all see it for yourself. It's only fair being that you guys helped me get the vehicle in the first place. You know, I credit you guys with getting me that car in the first place, so it's only fair that you guys see it. As far as what I saw in my rearview mirror, now again, I did not install the rear dash cam in my Chevrolet Spark. And the reason was because the tailgate actually moves the back glass. And I didn't know how to wire it up properly so that it wouldn't interfere. And then eventually I got lazy and never installed it. So I only had the front camera active on my vehicle. So I can't prove what I'm about to tell you. So you all will just have to take my word for it. When I looked up at my rearview mirror, it looked to me like the guy was on his cell phone. It looked to me like the guy was on his cell phone, not paying attention, because in the video, there is no indication that the guy started hitting his brakes. None whatsoever. You don't hear any tire screeching. I didn't hear any tire screeching. And he had enough momentum to carry on and impact the truck that was in front of me. So he didn't even notice that traffic had stopped. And I just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. And it sucks. And so, Slicks, let me go ahead and answer this. Can you get the same car, maybe a newer model? Absolutely. However, there's a problem with that. I will not be getting a Chevrolet Spark. It just won't be happening. Not because I wouldn't want a Chevrolet Spark. It's actually a really, really good car, as long as you take care of it. But that's the thing. The only Chevrolet Sparks that are available, since Chevrolet stopped making them, or at least selling them here in the States, the only Chevy Sparks that are available are the used Chevy Sparks. And since the Chevy Spark has, you know, this identity of being a disposable vehicle, people treat them like absolute shit. And I've been told by multiple dealerships that the service intervals that are listed in the owner's manual should be ignored, especially when it comes to the transmission. I'm about to get a little technical here with the car stuff, so bear with me, guys. I'll try to be quick. But this vehicle has something called a CVT. It's a continuously variable transmission. That is a transmission that works with a metal belt between two pulleys that literally change sizes. And as one pulley shrinks in diameter, the other one expands in diameter, which gives you different gearing ratios. That is how you change, in quotes, change gear. But that relies on the CVT fluid, and the CVT fluid is under a lot of strain. There's a lot riding on the CVT fluid, and so it needs to be changed. I would say it doesn't matter what the service interval in your owner's manual says, it doesn't matter what the dealership says, you should change that fluid if you have a CVT every 30,000 miles or at least once a year. I don't give a shit what anyone else tells you. If you have a CVT in your vehicle, you need to change your fluid at least once a year or every 30,000 miles. That's what I did. Now, if you look at other Chevrolet Sparks that are on the used market, some of them have 30,000 miles, 40,000 miles, 50,000 miles, 60,000 miles. Unfortunately, I can almost guarantee that none of the previous owners actually knew to do that service. And so I'm worried that if I were to buy another Chevrolet Spark, that I would be getting a progressively damaged product. I can't be certain that they were on top of the fluid changes that that vehicle requires for the CVT to not literally grenade itself. Even Nissan CVTs can go for a really, really long time if you just take care of them. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't, and that's why you hear all of these horror stories of Nissans literally shitting the bed after 75,000 miles, or other Chevrolet Sparks shitting the bed after 60 to 70,000 miles. My car had nearly 130,000 miles on it, and it was solid. And that's because there's not one other motherfucker with a Chevrolet Spark that took care of it like I did. And I'm pretty sure that my Chevrolet Spark was a unicorn among horses, and I'm not going to be able to find another one that was taken care of that good, because I wanted to drive that vehicle to the fucking ends of the earth and back with room to spare. And unfortunately, somebody decided to have other ideas and get on their cell phone to watch fucking TikTok while they were driving in bumper to bumper traffic. And here we are. So I am faced with a difficult decision, which is what is my new car going to be? It will not be a Chevrolet Spark because I do not trust the service intervals that vehicle, that the service intervals that the previous owner took. I don't trust it, and I don't want to trust it. If Chevrolet made a brand new Chevrolet Spark, I would just get that instead, but they don't. So fuck me, right? So I'm leaning towards a Toyota Corolla. And the reason why I'm leaning towards a Toyota Corolla is because it's a naturally aspirated four-banger. And even though it is a CVT, it's a CVT with a physical first gear. So there's not much stress on the CVT part of it. And on top of that, you can get them relatively new and even used ones. You can get them for like 5,000 miles on it, 10,000 miles on it, which is fucking nothing for a Toyota. And you can start essentially with essentially a fresh car where you know for a fact what kind of life that car is going to have, because that life is going to be with you as the new owner. So I'm leaning towards a Toyota Corolla. And for Gary, do Chevrolet make good cars now? Yes, only in the higher trims. For example, there was a new car that I was shopping. It was the new Chevrolet Trax, and that shit looks fucking mint. The new Chevrolet Trax looks amazing. They really fucking nailed it with the styling of that vehicle, and it's a nice, roomy, good on gas SUV. It's really, really good. However, the engine that they decided to put in that damn thing is a piece of dog shit. It is a 3-cylinder with a turbo with a timing belt that's drenched in its own oil. That is a service nightmare, especially with a timing belt bathing in its own oil. With turbo cars, you're putting more stress on the engine, and turbos eventually wear out. That's a very expensive repair. And given the fact that you're trying to force 5 pounds of shit into a 1 pound bag by boosting a 3-cylinder to be good enough for the job, you're going to get oil consumption issues later on in life. So you have a timing belt instead of a chain. You have a turbo that's going to eventually fail on its own, and you're going to have oil consumption issues because you're constantly putting stress on that engine more than it would be comfortable. And especially driving at highway speeds, and driving at highway speeds, it's always in boost. That doesn't speak very well to the longevity. So I'm not feeling the whole Chevrolet Trax thing. If I was not doing so much highway driving, maybe, but I just don't want to take that risk. And when I buy a car, I buy the car to drive it, and I drive all over the fucking country with my cars. When we were doing a rocket launch, and Astronomy Live can back this up 110%, we drive a lot for these rocket launches. I think for us it's 160 miles there, 160 miles back, and we've gone to, I mean, you personally have gone over to 100 rocket launches, driving that distance each way.
Yeah, it's a lot of miles. It's a lot of miles, and now this will be my second trip to the Keys for IFT3, so it adds up quick.
It adds up quick, and so I want to have a reliable vehicle, and I know Toyota does reliable vehicles. But another thing is, with a Toyota, it's not boosted. It's a timing chain. They have their CVTs actually, dialed in. They're really, really nice cars. They are really nice cars. So I'm leaning towards a Toyota Corolla, and I will be traveling back to Florida to pick up my new car to replace, sadly, my Chevrolet Spark, which I absolutely loved. I love that fucking car. It was a great, great car. It worked for my needs. It worked for my purposes, and I was able to accomplish a lot with it. Thanks to you guys, especially in the live chat, and to the people that donated to the original GoFundMe back in 2018. You guys are the reason I had that car in the first place. So thank you very much. And unfortunately, it is dead. It is absolutely dead. But
the pig killer, the revenge of the pig killer has been killed.
Yeah, pretty much. So, and we had a nickname for the car. It was called the Hamburghini. So we have universally decided that the nickname for my next car will be called the Slamborghini. Yeah, I went there. Unfortunately, getting rear-ended in bumper-to-bumper traffic when the motherfucker had working brakes at the time.
No, Reg, you're just jealous that your car got rear-ended before you did.
That too. But specifically about the whole totaling the whole car out thing. So one recommendation I'm going to make for you guys is this: if you don't have a dash cam, please get one. Please get a dash cam, please, because the dash cam is a witness that never forgets. You can say whatever the fuck you want to the police officer. You can say that you were distracted by Zeus himself dangling his cock from the sky, and it won't matter, because the dash cam will show that you were paying attention, you weren't driving recklessly, you weren't pretending you're Dale Earnhardt Jr. or whatever the fuck, and that the other guy totally was the one that blew that red light and rocked your shit. So please, for the love of fuck, get yourself a dash cam. So this leads us to the telescope and the future projects. Once that is all taken care of, once I have my next vehicle in my driveway, then I will make the investment into the cameras, the lenses, the adapters, and all this stuff, so that I can start making measurements with my new telescope. I got the telescope, got into an accident. Now everything needs to be placed on hold until that situation is resolved. Once that situation is resolved, I will then be able to purchase what I need to so that you all can get some new content from my new telescope. I cannot wait to share what I'm able to capture with you guys. And for First Light, I will be doing a live stream. I will be doing a live stream with it, and I hope to see you all there. But yeah, that's basically why there has been a delay after I got the telescope. I got a few DMs on Twitter. It's like, okay, so you bought this telescope. When are we going to see First Light? Well, that's the reason why you haven't saw First Light yet, is because I got into an accident and I had to deal with that fucking bullshit. And unfortunately, it took a lot longer than I would have liked. The insurance I was dealing with was kind of difficult. But the other guy's insurance was forced to accept fault for the crash because that camera did not lie, which is why I'm saying get yourself a dash cam. Oh, Mr. B. So I missed it. What scope did you get? Let me go ahead and show you. I'll go ahead and show you the telescope that I was able to purchase. I'm going to share my screens here because I still have it on the previous tab. There you go. This is a 8-inch Celestron Edge HD on the CPC mount. This is the new telescope, and I'm very, very happy to have it because this telescope is going to allow me to, track satellites in orbit, make measurements with Astronomy Live, and also get images of the International Space Station. It is fucking beautiful. I was able to test it out a few weeks ago just with the eyepiece that came with it. My God, it is gorgeous. Absolutely fucking gorgeous. And this telescope will be running Astronomy Live software. And we're going to be, like I said, collaborating on a few observations and measurements. And we will be making videos on that, which of course is going to generate copious amounts of flat Earth butthurt. I can't wait. But yeah, this is the Celestron 8-inch Edge HD. And thanks to Slice Arcane, it finally has a nickname, and it's called the Baller Telescope. And Baller is an acronym. Let's see if I remember. It was the Badass Long Lens Empirical Recorder.
Yep.
I love that. I fucking love that. So the Baller Telescope, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, can't fucking wait to generate some flat Earth butthurt with this thing. It's going to be awesome. And it is my goal with this to live stream, much like Astronomy Live does, observations of the International Space Station as it goes overhead. It's going to be so cool once I get everything dialed in perfectly. But like I said, I was able to test it just with the eyepiece, and I can't describe it. It just, everything was so perfect in the eyepiece. It was beautiful. I got to see the Orion Nebula just with the eyepiece, and that's an experience I never had before. And the fact that I was able to experience it through my own telescope, it's pretty fucking cool. Pretty fucking cool, I gotta say. So we're going to be upgrading the optical train. We're going to give it a new star diagonal. We're going to put a camera on it, of course. I mentioned the ASI 174mm. And I'm going to be working with Astronomy Live and Professor Nixie, as well as you guys, to make sure that the attachments I get for this camera are fit for the job. We got a lot of big plans for this telescope, and I have to thank all of you guys for supporting my work, because you are the reason that I was able to get this telescope in the first place. So it's only fair that you guys get to come along with me for the ride and seeing all the observations that it's able to make. I absolutely fucking love this thing. Can't wait to utilize it and get some shots with it. It's gonna be fucking awesome. But yeah, that's the telescope, the baller telescope. So in our arsenal, we have the Nikon P1000, the flat earth camera choice, which will be going to Big Mike. We have Big Blue, which Astronomy Live was successful in getting up and running again thanks to a donor scope. So congratulations, Astronomy Live, for the telescope surgery. But we also have his second telescope, which is his 11-inch Celestron, which we nicknamed Megadeth. And being that we're spaced apart by over 1,000 miles, we have the ability to make parallax measurements that is sure to piss off so many flat earthers, especially the flat earthers that like to say that satellites don't exist. Oh, that's going to be Astronomy Live. I picture a lot of satellite time lapses in our future. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
So, but with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, those are the updates. Now, I am going to give one final update before we close out this stream. The next time that you will likely see a live stream on this channel will be for the solar eclipse. I will be traveling to wherever the weather is clear. So I don't know where I'm going yet because that all depends on the weather. But I'm going to be using the Nikon P1000 one final time before I travel back down to Florida to, one, pick up my new car, and two, to deliver the equipment to Big Mike so that he can start doing rocket launch videos. But I will be traveling wherever the weather is clear to see the solar eclipse, so it can be all the way from Maine to fucking Texas. I don't know where I'm going, because I'm going to go wherever there is a guarantee of clear skies. That's where I will be going. So I'll be making updates on Twitter where I will let you guys know where I will be and when the live stream is going to happen. I will be live streaming the solar eclipse. And so I hope to see you guys in the live stream, live chat while the solar eclipse is happening. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. The last one that I went there with 82 Productions and a bunch of other people, including Strike, who sadly is no longer with us. May he rest in peace. But the last one was in 2017. And let me tell you, seeing a solar eclipse for the first time, like the one back in 2017, that is as close as I have ever gotten to a religious experience. And like, you feel the solar system in motion during a solar eclipse. It is one hell of an event.
It's truly magical. And so if anyone can get there and is thinking about it, do it. Do whatever it takes. Get there. Get under totality and go see it. Which, by the way, I'm just going to plug myself real quick here because it's relevant. I just released a video today predicting the path of totality for the upcoming solar eclipse using the globe model and the heliocentric model. And surprisingly, it only works in that model. It does not work with flat Earth.
Yeah, and if Astronomy Live is going to be making travel plans to the solar eclipse, and I will try to meet him where he is. I think we both have similar ideas about going wherever the weather is clear. We're still discussing details on that, but if we can do a live stream simultaneously with both of our views, we will try to make that happen. Like I said, I'm still working. We're still planning things out. And it all depends on the weather, because the weather is going to dictate where I go. So just making that very clear. But that's the next live stream that's going to happen on this channel. It will be the live stream of the solar eclipse. I hope I have good internet for my Wi-Fi hotspot, because that's going to be very, very fucking important. But I will try to get as close as I can to a major city, a major area where I know there's going to be cell phone towers that will be able to give me the bandwidth I need. With that, I'm going to read a super chat for 20 pounds. Thank you so much for the super chat. If you're looking for a quality car, get yourself a Mercedes E-Class. Ooh, fancy. Mine is a 3-liter V6, 260 brake horsepower, 620 meters of torque, or Newton meters, or meter newtons torque. Don't know what the MM is. Tops out at 184 miles per hour and will sit at 150 miles per hour all day on the Autobahn. I can thoroughly recommend it. One, I think that's a little bit too bougie for my taste. And two, even though I have no doubt that the Mercedes E-Class can be a reliable vehicle, when they do eventually break down, you have to pay a Mercedes tax. It's kind of like when you buy anything Apple. Here's a charging cable, $7. Here's an Apple charging cable, $14. What's the difference? One says Apple on it. So I'm thinking that there is a Mercedes tax when it comes to shit like that. Oh, meganewtons, 620 meganewtons of torque. Okay, so it stands for meganewtons. Okay, we use foot pounds over here in Frito-Land.
That seems a bit high.
I actually don't know what meganewtons. Can someone convert that shit into foot pounds? Can we use freedom units here? or metric newtons. Metric or mega? What the fuck? Convert it into foot pounds, damn it. I want my torque in foot pounds. Someone doing the calculations?
Yeah, I'm pulling it.
Yeah, I've got a calculator running right now.
Hey, he's flipped it back. That's why I thought it was a bit backwards. It's actually 620 newtons.
Oh, Newton meters. 620 Newton meters of torque. Okay, that's a little more.
457 foot pounds.
What was that?
457.3.
457.3. That's the same torque as I think it's the 3rd gen Cadillac CTS V, the one with the naturally aspirated V8. Yeah, that's pretty decent. Although I'm not looking to be a speed demon. I've had my fun. Like when I had my 2002 Pontiac Trans Am WS6 with a 6-speed. Oh, that car was so fucking cool. I remember Jared was actually riding in the passenger seat. We were heading down to hang out with Astronomy Live when I had my Trans Am, and there was a guy tailgating our fucking ass. And so what I decided to do was I decided at 50 miles an hour to downshift a second and blow the fucking doors off the dude and spat a 7-foot flame out the ass end. That was awesome. But I had my fun, is what I'm trying to say. I had my fun. Go ahead, Jared.
It was toasty.
It was toasty. Yeah, it was really, really toasty. And then it's like when Astronomy Live would be like, "Oh, who's here? Oh, that's my dad. Oh, who's here? Oh, that's my mom. Hey, Astronomy Live, who's here? Oh, that's just Red." Had a big old cam in that car. It was awesome.
Yeah, so for the record, 620 meganewtons, if this calculator is correct, that's equal to 139 million foot-pounds. I'm pretty sure that's not right.
I'm sure that's not right.
Like I said, it was off, but no, it's
yeah, your engine is actually an F1 rocket engine.
I mean, in that case, sign me the fuck up. It's like, yes, you'll see my Mercedes. Why are there 2 solid rocket boosters strapped to the side of it? Oh, because mind your own fucking business. That's why.
No. We had to go with a car that was on par for Tim the Toolman Taylor.
You know, here's the new Mercedes. It can achieve orbit.
Come on, man, and welcome to the jam. Well,
like I said, I'm leaning towards a Toyota. It's good enough for my purposes, and I'm going to be driving it a lot. So yeah, it's going to be a car that I'm going to drive all over the country and making measurements. And I also have a wish to go to the middle of bumfuck Egypt, Arizona, or Utah, or something, like in the middle of the desert, where there's no individuals, no cities, no nothing, just no lights. And because over there out west, it's pitch black. So one day, either at the very end of this year or towards the beginning of next year, I'm going to be going to the middle of fucking nowhere, and I'm going to be getting some deep sky images. I may need a different camera for that because the 174mm has a particular job. It has a certain purpose that it needs to fulfill. So I will be using a different camera for that, but I do want to do deep sky photography with, a proper camera and a wedge. So Black Rock Desert in Nevada, for example. And who knows, I'll maybe make it a star party for people so we can all hang out. So if you feel comfortable traveling to the ass end of nowhere and camping out, by all means, come along, guys. We'll make it a gathering. I would love nothing more than to hang out with you guys, getting some nice deep sky shots. Maybe Astronomy Live can come with me, and Big Mike as well. I'll try to drag Jared along, the piece of shit, so that he can, take a break every now and then, because the dude is fucking busy.
Yeah, that's why I'm doing 2 things at once right now.
Yeah, I can tell, motherfucker. So let's see. Requiem. Damn it, Red, if I weren't stuck in my deathbed, I would take you up on that. Well, one, I'm sorry to hear that. But two, you will be able to join us virtually because I do plan on live streaming these observations. Again, assuming I can get a signal out in the ass of nowhere, which I don't think is going to be a thing if I'm trying to get that far away from civilization, but I'll try. Oh, wait. There is the possibility I could get a Starlink. That could solve that problem. How much is a Starlink these days?
Total investment initial cost, or
what's
a couple hundred.
It's a couple hundred. Okay, so what's the monthly service cost for a Starlink satellite? Is it completely dependent on how much you use it, or is it just a flat rate month to month?
Yeah, I'm seeing a month to. Yeah, I'm seeing a month to month of 120. I'm looking at the list.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, standard. That's just unlimited high speed, low latency, network priority.
Oh, wait. We have there's two different variants. So you have residential, and then you have roam.
Yeah, I'm seeing a mobile version, which is standard mobile regional 150 a month, or global is 200 a month. That's 10 mile an hour in motion, pause service, portability, unlimited mobile. Then you have priority, which I think is just high. Yeah, it's higher speeds. So
yeah, so mobile regional, which I assume would be like the United States.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It doesn't say.
I've got one in my living room right now.
So that's $150 a month for that Starlink.
I'll let you know how it goes. I've got one in my living room right now,
Yeah, I know. I would like for you to tell me how it goes, because that's going to determine whether or not it's actually a worthwhile investment. And I know that the service is going to get better as they continuously launch more and more satellites, because let's face it, Starlink was the most numerous launch last year, and maybe even the year before that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they're certainly trying to push it as much as they launch it as much as they can.
Yeah,
so.
we got another one tomorrow night, I believe, and I'm going to try to do some test tracking on it.
Well, there you go. Like literally, Starlink launches have become so common and numerous that we literally use them just for testing purposes.
So looking at it, Reds, if you really wanted to play the potential piece of shit card, they do offer a 30-day trial.
I see what you did there. So I could say, hey, 30-day trial, go out, do the thing, return and be like, I wasn't really feeling it.
Yep. Try Starlink for 30 days, and if not satisfied, get a full refund.
I love it. I fucking love it. Thanks for the Starlink, Elon, and go fuck yourself. Love it. I love that idea. So yeah, if it does come to that, I'm gonna look into the Starlink situation. Maybe I'll find maybe I'll find a random cell tower in the middle of nowhere where I can have it all to myself and still get proper good internet.
But for Starlink itself, so for the full roaming, the hardware cost is $600, and then your monthly.
We'll look into it. But one thing I would really like, and Requiem, this could be possible. If I'm out in the middle of the ass end of nowhere, what I would like for you to do, Requiem, is to take control of my telescope, because we give this opportunity to flat earthers all the time. And of course, flat earthers don't ever take us up on this opportunity because it will actively debunk their bullshit. Why would they put effort into debunking their own shit? But it would be nice to have you involved in the star party, essentially. And the way that you could do that is if we're able to get a solid connection, either through my hotspot or through a Starlink, you would be able to take remote control of the telescope and take your own deep sky images. You can be actively involved in the star party in that way. Yes, it won't be in person, which does kind of suck. If your health is really bad, I do not want you to travel because that would be risky, and I don't want you to take any unnecessary risk. So without taking any unnecessary risks, I would still want you to be involved into this in the star party. So the way that you can be involved is to, remote control the scope. That's possible. All you need is an internet connection and a laptop, and we can make that happen. And Astronomy Live can also give you access to his telescope. So basically, you got options, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could even get him on sooner than that. Next time I do a deep space live stream, I need to break in the new motherboard on my big blue scope and make sure everything is really running as well as I think it is.
Yeah. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and end this stream right here, right now. So thank you guys for watching. So to be very clear, the next live stream that will be happening on this channel will be the live stream of the solar eclipse. And then after that, hopefully the whole car situation should be solved and I'll know what the budget is for that month. And then if there is enough, I'll go ahead and purchase the necessary cameras, star diagonals, adapters, all that stuff so that I can start taking some images through my new telescope and also live streaming what I'm capturing through the new scope to you guys. That'll be nice. So it's definitely not going to happen this month. This month is a complete wash, so don't expect anything. And I would say don't expect anything for most of next month as well. It may not be until after April that we see first light. But I assure you, I am working towards it. And it is going to be awesome when it does happen. I will keep you guys updated every step along the way. And then the next time we have another one of these live streams where I'm talking to you guys directly, I'll also show the pictures of my wrecked car, as well as the video of the accident so that you can see exactly what happened. And yeah, we will go from there. And just thank you guys for sticking with me. I know it's been a while. But I'm looking forward to making content again. I'm looking forward to collaborating with Astronomy Live again and getting some videos and measurements. And I would like to also thank Big Mike for taking on the responsibility of filming rocket launches because I know that we've been slacking in that department. It's good to get back into it. And so Big Mike, thank you for taking on the challenge and making it a personal goal of yours.
Yeah, it's definitely be. I honestly haven't even been to a launch in forever, and partly because I've been, it's kind of hard to justify going out there for no reason. So now it'll be nice to not only be able to go out there to see a launch, but now I can actually, bring something, get something out of it and something to show for it. And that's definitely be exciting to get back into launches and, like I said, having something to show and something to learn and improve on. So, it's going to be a long-term skill and a long-term thing to work on, especially, working with Astronomy Live and you. I think, a combined effort, we're going to have some really fantastic results.
Yep. And so thank you very much, Big Mike. And I also want to say thank you to Professor Nixie, who's going to be working with me in the background to make sure I get all the necessary, adapters and star diagonals and proper cameras and stuff like that. Let me answer this question real quick. Do you have future plans for debates with Flurf's Reds? I'm always open to debating a flat earther. I just don't want to do it on fucking Twitter. Like, I don't want to do it on Twitter, and I would like to have a moderator that's worth a shit. So as long as they meet those two things, I'm happy to debate any flat earther. And I make these challenges all the time. I have multiple countdown clocks, for flat earthers that have been running away from a debate from yours truly. It does exist. So let me show a few of these, because why the fuck not? Let's go ahead and go down the list, shall we? This is fun just before we tune out for the night. This is a good shit show to have. All right, so the first one, let's go ahead and look at the first one. So share screens, there we go. Nathan Oakley has been refusing to debate Red's rhetoric on a neutral platform for 1,819 days, 22 hours, 11 minutes, 15 seconds. Look at that. Look at that.
God
So
damn.
that's Nathan Oakley. He's been running away for that long. He's been, I mean, I'm surprised. The dude's got some legs on him. To be able to run for over 1,800 days in a row, holy shit.
Nearly
So,
5 years.
Yeah, so Nathan Oakley there, running away as he does. With that, let me see who else I have here. Yes, of course. We have a new guy that's on Twitter. So let me share this one right here. Let's present screens. He goes by the Fifth Element, but that's his handle on Twitter. So Fifth Element has been running away from a debate with Reds Reddick for 350 days, 4 hours, 17 minutes, 15 seconds. Look at that. You know, I got to give it to Fifth Element there. He definitely is running along, chugging along. His legs aren't looking like they're going to give out anytime soon. So yeah, running away from a debate with Reds Reddick for over 350 days. Damn, dude. Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, when these flat earthers start running, they got some legs on them. They got some legs. Next, we have one of Nathan Oakley's side bitch. You can see him on Twitter. This is a more recent one. Let's see. This is Plant Blazer. He is one of, like I said, Nathan Oakley's side bitches. He's been running away for 21 days, 3 hours, 33 minutes, and 9 seconds. So running away for 21 days, not quite as long as the others, but he's going to get there eventually. He's going to get there eventually. So running away from a debate with me for that long. And yeah, so, and then I got one more counter here. Let me bring this up. So let's see who else. Yes, I forgot about this guy because he's mostly irrelevant, but why the fuck not? Let's go ahead and take a look here. Don't know why it says negative on there. Maybe I set this up wrong, but I did this kind of quickly because who really gives a shit? Gleam has been running away from a live debate for 317 days, 12 hours, 13 minutes, and 59 seconds. So there you go. Yeah, so there's a bunch of flat earthers that are continuously running away from a debate with yours truly, but we are constantly calling them out, and the very moment that they finally accept to debate yours truly, we will go ahead and have that debate broadcasted for all of your guys' enjoyment and for my enjoyment as well, because I'm sure that's going to be absolutely fucking hilarious. So yeah, there's a lot of flat earthers that are running away from a debate with yours truly, but I'm calling out other flat earthers every single day. In fact, there's almost not a day that goes by that I don't call out a flat earther to debate, but they have certain fucking standards that they have to reach. One is to have it off of fucking Twitter, and the two is to have a moderator that's actually worth a shit. So I know that's asking for a little much from flat earthers, but I do what I can. But hopefully that answers your question. Yes, I do have plans to debate flat earthers in the future. It's just the whole getting flat earthers to debate part. We're just trying to we're trying to get past that aspect of it. So anyway, let's go ahead and go down the list. Big Mike, say what you got to say and get the fuck out.
Fuck it.
Perfect. Have a good one. It's been nice. Okay. AT2 Productions. Say what you got to say and get the fuck out.
I'm a little teapot, short and stout.
Okay. Astronomy Live. Say what you got to say and get the fuck out.
Hey, I got a joke for you. What sound does a tire make when it falls off a jet taking off? Boing!
Boing! That's great. Love it. Thank you all for watching, guys. Have a good one. See ya.